and we're going to look at the 3 P's. Psychology. You have to understand child development. There are stages in child development that you need to understand. And just like we have the anal stage, the oral stage, where every single thing the child takes, the child wants to put it in us, or the child wants to put it in the mouth. Development generally like that is broken into different levels. So there are times when the child just wants to be expressive, wants to be experimental, like I said, wants to play around. In my school, what we do is that we have the toddler class. The toddler class is 100% experimentary. You cannot come bring it your toddler and say, I want this toddler to do ballet. Oh, no. The toddler class is all inclusive. Every child does the same thing and they all try everything. They have a lot of disciplines. They do like 8 different things or 9, and they enjoy it. Everything is educational. Everything is on purpose. If they are tumbling on purpose. We know the reason why we're putting resilience, we're teaching them something, a value, a moral. We're connecting it to the activity. Then if we want to do reading, for instance, and they are jumpy, they jump on reading, something like that. So that stage of development in the child has to do with emulation. They have to just try it. Anything they see, they try. So you are very careful about this time. I say, okay, this child is going to develop by what he's exposed to. So I always tell young people, your people around, because the job is not just your job. What I say about parents, okay? You are just a guardian. How can you see yourself as a guide? Yes, they're your children, but don't begin to hold on to, this is my child. No. So that particular time, everybody around that child, for instance, you want to work on the child's speech. Everybody has to speak well. Don't just assume that there's a teacher that teaches him speech. No, it will be counterproductive if, for instance, you're teaching the child how to pronounce words and the child is pronouncing words and the child now is exposed to another environment just because he wants to learn another thing. I always tell my staff, I said, we are a dance school. We are a theater school. We teach anything stage arts, performance. And parents should know that when children come to our school, we are not undermining another kind of training. They've been trained in school to be very studious. It means that when they come here, they have to be studious. Give them assignments. Let it augment what they're doing in school. They've learned in school to behave well, to line up and work. It shouldn't now be that this is the place to now teach them to be disorganized just because it's an art school. Say art is free, art is no, that's not true. Don't counter the previous training, the other training that they have. They've been learned to speak with, they've learned to be around teachers that speak with, they have good diction. I will train my staff to along that line. Doesn't mean because they are creative teachers. They too will speak well. The teachers in their school, they are very neat. They are very neat in their delivery. They are very respectful. Their behavior they are prim and proper. My staff has to be like that also, so that it will now augment what they are doing in school. So at this particular time, everybody around them have to get it right because they are emulating everything. Yes, their mind is developed. The quality of their mind will be reflective of the quality of people that you introduce them to. Their diction, everything. So you exaggerate things. That is one level of development. The second one, just for the sake of this class, is when they begin to they are influenced. They begin to get influenced, maybe from like ages 8 to that's when sometimes you'll be in class, you just say one slang and all that. You also have to identify with the normal trends and norms and guide them through what they should pick and what they should not pick. They should not just be mindlessly lifting. At this point, they begin to be contributive. I believe that if you want them to develop, you should seek their opinion at this level. This is from ages 8 to like 12. What do you think about this thing? You just don't dump. I said that we're going to buy ice cream. It's going to be. Ask them, what do you want? You teach them to negotiate. It will build confidence in them. They can stand for themselves on their own. It has worked for me in my school. In fact, my 8 years to preteen, they're excellent. When you see the kind of work we do with them, you won't believe. As a choreographer director, when I'm working with them, I tell them the synopsis. They begin to also contribute, and it's crazy what these young lads can do. The last stage, just because of this broadcast, of course, that's when you begin to replicate and you begin to go around the circles. I believe that a child has learned everything he wants to learn concerning morals, and sometimes we don't know that what we need to learn is how to learn. If you teach them how to receive very early, they can go to any length, to PhD level to reflect. A child knows that he has to listen without attention. He has to do extra research. Sometimes some of us, when we're growing, it was what they taught us, we just knew, and we're just there wrapped around. Nobody taught us this. There's no sense of responsibility. Nobody came and made us feel that okay, we're also part of this. So from that 14 above till probably when you die, you'll just be recycling things, dump and receive. There are many parts of the world that don't do like Nigeria, or they don't do any British system, or the curriculum is not like us. People just study to pass through an assessment. No, people study to receive. People feel that they can contribute. People go to dig up a research and say they want to research on that thing again. We need to understand. The second P is physiology, physiological development. Physiology is a framework, it's the outer appearance. Basically, we have to make sure that we pattern ourselves to grow into the realities of how did they change physiologically, their physical features. When for instance the capacity of a child, because of his physiology, maybe he has weak legs, when the trainer doesn't understand that is something that goes with nature. You like to sit down too much, physiology also goes with what I say about the attitude. They are jumpy. It's psychological also, but it also reflects physiologically. So you can't, as it were, sit a baby down and begin to mock the baby. No, you can't say that to a baby. The baby can't be stubborn for not sitting down. That's part of the makeup. Can't sit for too long. If they are babies, they want to crawl, they want to lie down. So if it's a learning environment, you are sure that there's no harmful thing on the floor. And it goes to the older kids, because of their physiological makeup. They like to be flashy, they like to, colors go with it and all that. And by the time they begin to become young adults, they want privacy. You need to give them that privacy. You need to understand that you can't touch them as much as you used to when you want to illustrate. They have sensitive parts and all those kind of things. So you need to understand that. The third P I want to teach you about is perception. Perception is how the lenses through which this child sees the world. It's so beautiful how God created everybody. Everybody, no matter the age, has a point of view. You need to understand that point of view. Yes, influenced by some factors, maybe from their families and all that, but perception is very important. And that's why, as a teacher, I'm very careful how I generalize. Sometimes we do things like theater, and theater is broad spectrum. Cheerleading is also broad spectrum, where we open up different angles. And from that perception, how they see life, some of them you can even pick where themselves. Like some firstborns, they're very protective. They like to look out for their younger ones. You see them when they come to the training, creative training, performing arts training, they are already shielding these ones. They're already carrying them. Sometimes in love, we just say, no, don't carry them. They're also, and that's why sometimes grading is very important, except if they have to work together. I believe that if you're a creative, and even if you're a parent, yes, your children are all your children, but there are times when you begin to think of this older one will need a separate room from the younger ones that are in the same age space. Because let it now not be counterproductive that because they are all mushy and together, the older one will refuse to develop because he's thinking he's a child. So sometimes development comes when you separate them. You separate them by age, by their perception. So all of these things, all of these P's will help you learn how to grade also. If in grading and training well, you must know the 3 P's, the 3 D's, and the 3 R's. So that was what I made up because of this lecture. You can add, it's the same ideology, and some of you can relate to it if you're parents or you're teachers. Some of you that are teachers, you're working with the creative after school programs, and those of you that are working in school, you will find this broadcast very, very important to you. The fact that I didn't tag it teaching, I said parenting, doesn't mean it's not for us. So I'm already trying to use this beginning to make you know that that's what this broadcast is for.